Hello everyone and welcome back to Greater Persia. We are still in a state of relative peace and quiet. We shall see how long that lasts. Let's just go on right away, plow through the days and the nights alike, set you up with the rest, and we'll keep building this up best we can. The threat of communism, so that's quite likely to be another of the fascist events. So let's quote: Reza Shah Pahlavi would have you believe Iran stands safe and united. Well, that's obviously not the case. It is no surprise such lies have poisoned the minds of our people when a snake is caught up next door. Look no further than across our border to see countrymen having turned on each other in the name of communism, declaring the end of nations. How long until they declare our nation dead as well? Will the Pahlavi dynasty protect us from this threat? No, I don't think so. The growth of the fascist movement in Iran has been bolstered by the proximity of the communist revolution. Many moderates who might normally dismiss fascism as another misguided ideological experiment find this to be a very real concern for them as well. Given the choice between the communism of our neighbors and a fascist regime, they would admittedly prefer the latter. They might even be willing to actively support it. So it seems that because we are in fact neighboring a communist, which must be Russia, because we're also neighboring a Democrat at any rate. No, we're not. So yeah, Russia, the presence of Russia has compelled some of our people, quite a lot of them actually, to support fascism. That brings us up to 48% support. So the putsch isn't far away at all. No, we'll see. Let's keep a close eye on this. So we're 48%. It'll still take a while. Alright, there we go. Fascist assault divisions form. Now that's getting rather grim. The political and the martial have always been intertwined in fascism. In parallel with its growing political movement, fascist parties have begun to form paramilitary organizations to protect against both internal and external threats. The internal threats being their political opponents. Although many people find this development worrying, the wave of militaristic furor has led to an increased amount of volunteers joining our armed forces. Political leaders of the movement have pointed out that their opponents have reason to be afraid. Having the army permeated on several levels by so explicitly political elements, the enemies of Iran and the enemies of fascism are beginning to look very much alike. Now, there we have it. More or less fascism as at its core. Only traitors of the country have anything to fear. Well, we'll be the judge of who is a traitor and who isn't. We get another 5% popularity of fascism, and we gain the national spirit, which is something like a country modifier in this game, which grants 5% less national unity, which I still haven't entirely understood what it's for. I think it just determines how much of your territory can be occupied before you surrender unconditionally or capitulate. Alright, other than that, 0.2% recruitable population and more daily fascism support. So we're really going up there. We do now have over 50% fascist support. So I should think that shouldn't take too long now. The war in Spain is still raging on, and we can now modify our government. No, here's a question. Do I want to do this now? I mean, the point is, I will want to change to war economy as soon as the fascists are in power. Because that alone will give us 2 or 3, depending on how the game rounds, more civilian factories to produce, to construct stuff with. We could also add a military theorist for more army experience gain. Land doctrine research time, that's also a nice thing to have. Then here we did have the infantry expert. And down here we had the army offense guy. The rest I'm not terribly interested in. And another thing is that justifying war goals will also cost political power. So we really have to be aware of what exactly we spend it on here. Now here's the thing. Free trade. That's another 5% factory output and construction speed and research time. And all that we do sacrifice is another 30% resources to market. Now the only thing we do produce, as observed numerous times already, is oil. And we're currently exporting 50%. 80% of this, well, we'd still have a large surplus and we won't be needing too much oil. And if we invade Iraq, we get even more. Even more of it. And looking around the area, we aren't really gonna be finding much of anything here. Well, if we go all the way up into Turkey, we get lots of chromium. But then again, those would be so incredibly huge amounts that we would still be exporting most of it. Or wouldn't be using most of it ourselves. Down here we have a little bit of oil trickling around. So I think, yeah, free trade. Sure, why not? So the question is then, what's more important, the war economy or free trade? Let's hang on for a minute. Let's wait for the next fascism event. Don't think it'll take too long. And then we can make a call there. There we go. The fascists demand a referendum. So the rapidly growing Iranian fascist movement has never claimed that they need majority support. Well, apparently they do have, before they seize power. Counting on uniting the nation under their leadership once their rule is established. However, it seems their public support has grown rapidly. Many fascists are now calling Reza Shah Pahlavi a hypocrite, claiming to represent the wishes of the people, while turning a deaf ear to the masses who want to set Iran on the path to greatness. So that's us, wanting to set Iran on the path to greatness. The call for a referendum has been dismissed as typical attempts at disrupting the system by the Pahlavi dynasty members so far. But at least it's a political measure. If we don't act now, the fascists may choose the violent path, the violent struggle as a better path to power. So we can either suppress the hateful movement, which will decrease fascist support, so we definitely don't want to do that. We could not pay any attention to them, which is less national unity, or we could just want the referendum. Politics will change, fascists will become the ruling party, no public elections, base national unity -5. Alright. Oh, so there we are. It's done. That was that easy. We're now the new Persian Empire. That's not really Greater Persia. But we're pretty close. We're now led by Barham Farhani. I don't know if he has any historical significance or if he's just any guy. Although, why exactly does the fascist guy have a hammer and sickle pin? And why? Why is he also ruling the Iraq and Afghanistan? Oh, this is great. He's just alright. Here, I'm the fascist guy in office, and let me put on my hammer and sickle. No one's gonna notice. And then on Wednesdays, I pop over to Iraq and put on a tie and a nice military uniform, and I rule there. And then over the weekend, I go to Afghanistan, have my nice bow tie and my blue jacket, and and I rule Afghanistan. Well, it is kind of foreshadowing, because we will be ruling these areas before too long, but I just find it amusing in some way. Alright, so now we can in fact modify our government much more liberally, or fascistically. And the war economy it shall most definitely be. We'll bring consumer goods factories down to 3, which will leave us with 9 total factories building things. That'll be a nice change. There we go. Let's crank the speed back up. So this is the disappearance of Amelia Earhart. The famous aviator Amelia Earhart, the first woman to complete a solo flight across the Atlantic, has disappeared, along with her navigator Fred Noonan, near Howland Island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Where is that Howland Island? My geography around here is poor, so I'm probably not going to try. In the middle of the Pacific Ocean, the two were attempting a flight around the entire world in their twin-engined Lockheed Electra plane when they vanished. Search for the missing aviators is now being conducted by the US Navy and Coast Guard, but there is little hope of finding them. Truly a loss for aviation. But they simply weren't any true Persians. That's what happened. No true Persian pilot would go missing like that. Alright. Armament effort number 1. Let's deal with that. More national focus will mean more armament. We are trying to go to war after all. Well, I should probably also do something else here in a minute. Alright, so I think it would be best to go ahead and start producing artillery here. And for that we'll also need tungsten. Tungsten. Who can give me that? The Soviets again. Let's just go to them. Pretty please. And then we'll get artillery. Hopefully more than 3 a month. And hopefully in time we'll be able to incorporate some actual line artillery or support artillery, I don't yet know, into our brigades. Let's see, if we were to add 2 artillery to this, we would be needing 72 towed artillery per brigade. 72. Let's compare with this as a support unit. So this as a support unit it's only 24. So it's 1.5 that for line artillery. Defense is doubled. Breakthrough value is doubled. Soft attack quite close to doubled. Hard attack doubled. Well, we're not going to be fighting any tanks down here. Supply use, organization, don't really care about. Well, it brings down organization. Is that really something I want? Well, so does the support artillery, really. It's 500 versus 300 manpower, but we're not terribly starved on men. Yeah, I think line artillery is just better. But we can't do that just yet. Well, we could start with 1 artillery in each. Yeah, we can just add another one later. I think we'll do that. That's our new infantry brigades, and now we are horribly under-equipped with artillery. And so it is to be hoped that, yeah, we are increasing our supply there. And another event, but before that, yeah, these did fall down back to level 2 because I did add a new regiment or whatever they're called. So let's have them exercise once again until they're back up to regular level 3. Alright, and now we have the Marco Polo bridge accident. Japanese and Chinese forces have skirmished inconclusively over the strategic Marco Polo Bridge located just southwest of Beijing. China has rejected Japan's demands for an apology and territorial concessions, claiming instead that the breaking point of Japanese aggression has been reached. Diplomats fear that the volatile situation could result in war at any time. So we live in interesting times. Could it be that Japan does declare on China before too long? Well, I think it could well be. How are they looking comparatively anyway? So let's just go with the optimistic estimates here. Or pessimistic, depending on which way you look at it. So it's 91 to 70 army strength. But yeah, 181 ships to 7. Also, so air and naval superiority go to Japan, hands down. And army, well, army too, really. And they're already working on a national focus that's just called War with China. Yeah. So it's not going to be any... There's not going to be any historical surprises there. Japan's going to war with the Chinese. Or maybe we can get there in time to find ourselves a little something to do to carve out of China. We'll see. I think midterm it wouldn't be a terrible idea to attack the British Raj too. Once the war broke out, I don't think that Great Britain is going to be any great help to their Indian colonies. And I would suppose... Let's actually take a look. Let's take a minute. So there's quite a bit of tungsten down here. A lot of it, actually. And rubber. Ooh, lots of rubber. Steel. Bit of aluminium. So this is quite a resource-rich environment down here. Yeah, so we will have to think about that. I think as soon as war broke out, either I am in the Axis by that point, then I'm fighting anyway, or I'm not in the Axis and the Germans are fighting the British, and then I can just sneak in and take all of India. That would be the plan. Alright, we do have free civilian factories again. But I think that right now the time for idly sitting about is about over. Precisely now. So let's start working on some military factories. We will be getting another one in about a month. Right, that's more concentrated infantry that comes just at the right moment. Alright, once again, excavation not really something we need right now. Yeah, let's get a radio for the upcoming war. Still building up quite nicely. You can stop training. Here's one thing. For the moment, I want the standing army to take priority in equipment. We're missing about 400. At the current rate, that would take more than 2 years to fill. Same with infantry equipment, but this does also factor in brigades and recruitment. Alright, that's our national focus. Let's go with more armament. Can never be a bad thing in my book. And you, well, given the amount of artillery that we need, I think we'll just go with another factory set for artillery production. And then the next one will be infantry equipment and possibly support equipment after that, once we've researched it. Well, we'll see about that. And now it did actually happen. Japan declared on Jiangxi, and shortly thereafter on China. And already we are fighting. So it's only Japan versus China so far. That did spark quite a bit of war tension. So Japan, total of 16 point something %. Interesting times. Right, we finished construction. So that's pretty much all there is to do in the industry tree for now. In 38, we'll want to research the computing machine. But that's not upon us just yet. We're still working on the land doctrines. I think it's about time that we... yeah, I think it's about time we found out about support equipment and started producing some. And then to that end, producing... it kind of flies in the face of this whole fascists, nationalists idea to have free trade. Well, I don't actually know. Have there been any fascist governments that actually work on a free trade basis? I always thought that fascism and some form of isolationism, economic isolationism, go hand in hand. But I could be wrong on that. Oh, well, we'll find out soon enough. Could also go with one of these guys, or the army experience guy. We'll need quite a bit of army experience. And we'll also want to fabricate a claim. Oh well, let's just put it off until after the break, because unfortunately it's about that time again. So, until then, and as always, thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I've been Discryant, and I shall see you soon.